Purdue at Minnesota on FanDuel. Minnesota is favored in this one by 9.5. The over/under set at 51.5. Minnesota coming off the loss to Ohio State, 42-3. PJ Fleck basically said after the game, "There's nothing we could do. They just have better players. They're better all around, and there's not really much we could do." Purdue coming off the game against Illinois, where they actually had better success rate than Illinois did in that one, but kind of classic Illinois fashion. They had the big plays and they got the turnovers and they capitalized on the turnovers. So that's kind of how it works out. It'll be a big test for Purdue if they're going to be able to not turn the ball over in this one, as that is a pretty potent offense for Purdue. But Minnesota has shown flashes with their defense this season. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Purdue has really impressed me this year so far. I am just kind of blown away that the turnaround from Barry Odom, not necessarily in the win column, but just in the competency. Like when you're watching Purdue, they don't look like far and away the worst team in the Big Ten, and that's pretty indicative by the final scores that they put up. But it's just those 3 or 4 critical errors that they make throughout a game that once they clean that up, I think they can be a bowl team maybe next year. But it's whether it's fumbling, on a 15-yard gain, or whether it be a 3rd and 2 swing pass where the running back's wide open and Brown just overthrows him a little bit. I don't know if it's like not when you have like 80 new guys on a team, like it's just not going to all sync up overnight or in one training camp. So I think they've made a lot of positive progress, and they're going to be a tough out for everybody who goes and plays Purdue this year. It's you're going to have to kind of put them away because you can't just kind of stroll into Ross-Ade or have them think. You can't just think that they're going to roll over this year like they did last year. So really impressed by them. Illinois continues its turnover positive variance, where they're just like somehow, I think they lead college football, at least the FBS, in fumbles recovered on defense. They just find a way to, they just attack the ball and punch it out and find a way to keep getting those turnovers. So I do like Illinois in this game, but I'm sorry, I do like
For
Minnesota in this
Minnesota,
game.
you mean? Yeah.
I'm thinking of the last
I
week.
like Illinois against Purdue too. Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, but that was last week. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Minnesota.
No worries.
Obviously, I saw them up close recently playing Rutgers. I think their front seven is slept on a little bit. I think they're better than I expected. Anthony Smith coming off the edge is dangerous. I think their DC has come up with a lot of creative ways to attack the quarterback in terms of pass rushing. And I think Minnesota is able to take down the Boilermakers, but I don't think it'll be. I don't think that it's a game that'll be decided early on. I think it's going to be something where it's going to be back and forth a bit. Maybe Minnesota scores a late touchdown to make it look like it's a game that got out of hand a little bit, but it really wasn't the way the game played out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Maryland can survive those, I think as you put it in your question, those back-breaking turnovers, and that can be a game that kind of continues on into the fourth quarter. And in that situation, Purdue has the offense to be able to contend with just about any defense out there when they're tired and it's in the fourth quarter. The real test is, can they get to that point? They did a good job against USC. They scored 17 points in that one, but they could have had more with how much they got into the red zone. And then they scored 30 on Notre Dame. So this is not a bad offense. It's just taking care of the ball. The defense, the secondary, as long as guys aren't running into each other, they could have a better game. So, but that's really my biggest thing with this Purdue team is it feels like everywhere where this Purdue team is strong, Minnesota is strong, and everywhere where this Purdue team is kind of weak is where Minnesota is strong. So does Purdue have an answer for the star players that Minnesota has? You talked about Anthony Smith. This Purdue offensive line has not been great. Ryan Browne's been good at getting the ball out and using his mobility, but Anthony Smith is a menace, man. He's going to go after Ryan Browne and try to take him down and does a really good job with his angles and how he attacks quarterbacks. You're looking at our Armand Branch and Nitro Tuggle. Jon Nestor, the transfer from Iowa, he's been slept on all season long. He's been one of the better cornerbacks in the Big Ten. He's been fantastic. You have I think he's the redshirt freshman Gerald over there on the other side. He's not been bad, but it's really been Jon Nestor that's kind of been the fantastic one. And then in the slot, Michael Jackson III is a good receiver for Purdue, but the guy that's in the slot the most for Minnesota is Kerry Brown, who's one of the best slot coverage guys in all of the Big Ten. I believe he's top 5 in NFL passer rating allowed by opposing quarterbacks when he's defending in the slot. And then the final one is Drake Lindsay. Drake Lindsay has really impressed me this season. He's done a really good job. The wide receivers for Minnesota, they're not an upgrade over last year, but Drake Lindsay, with how he has been playing and how he's been able to direct those guys with a weak Purdue secondary, I don't like this matchup for Purdue. I think Minnesota's got a really good opportunity here to win this one big as long as they take advantage of it. We'll see how it goes. My score prediction in this one, Mike, is 34-21. I have Minnesota covering, but I do take the under. What's your score prediction? Or no, the over. The over. I apologize.
So I have Minnesota winning 42-28. I think when you give Drake Lindsay time to scan the field, he's going to find open receivers, and Purdue hasn't really generated a ton of pass rush. So I got them covering the spread, and I also have the over hitting in this one.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, Robe does here. He's saying Michael Jackson is a great or is a tough receiver. The quarterback is smart. Give Purdue by 14. I didn't get the last part there, Robe does. But yeah, I mean, Michael Jackson, he's a good receiver for sure. Zach has a little bit closer. He has 31-27 Minnesota, but he has Purdue covering there, taking the over. So we'll see how that one plays out. Should be a really interesting one.